We're about just a month away from the start of the 2026 NBA season, so with the season not too far away and with rosters just about to be finalized, I want to take a look at some of the more underrated contenders going into this next season. We know teams like the Rockets, teams like the Nuggets and Thunder, we know these teams are going to be good and we know that they are title favorites right now, but who are some of the teams that could upset them? Who is a team that could go on a run? Who is a team that can shock the world? Who is a team that can mimic what the Pacers did just last season? My first honorable mention is a shout out to the Dallas Mavericks. So this Dallas Mavericks roster, I actually really like it. I think they're a very intriguing team. They have a great front court, they have good depth, they have that star power on top. I've personally always been a big fan of combining like a good ball handler with a good big man. Think like Jokic and Murray, think like LeBron and Anthony Davis, Middleton and Giannis. It kind of seems like every time you have an elite big man, you need that ball handling point guard to go with him. And the Mavericks have that in Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, but they don't exactly have the health of those two either. Kyrie comes back at the end of the regular season, so that does make this team a little bit interesting because I'm going to be curious to see if the Mavericks can stay afloat until he comes back. Of course, they're also going to have Cooper Flag, and historically, rookies don't usually have a big impact on winning in their first year, so I would be kind of shocked to see if Cooper Flag was a pivotal part of a highly winning or a championship team, but we're just gonna have to see. I think Dallas is gonna have a really good season, better than some people think at the very least, and I think they're definitely gonna look way better than a team that had the #1 overall pick just a year ago. Second honorable mention is to the New York Knicks. So the Knicks were a team that I was considering putting in one of the more underrated teams, but I just decided that they were just too good of a team. They've got their superstars and they've got that pairing in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. They've got two very high-end defensive wings who are also not too bad on the offensive side of the ball, and then of course they've got their hustle and glue guy. Their bench, even though it hasn't gotten a whole lot deeper, it's definitely gotten better, and they definitely have some really big names for them coming off the bench. Tom Thibodeau, for all the things that he can do kind of well, at least as a head coach, was fired and was eventually replaced by Mike Brown. Mike Brown was a guy who has seen some success before. He was on that team with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, so I do wonder if we could see some similarities with Brunson and Cat in that role. I really think this New York team can be an incredibly good team. I think they're going to be top 2, top 3 in the East, and by getting rid of Tom Thibodeau and replacing him with Mike Brown, I think that could be the difference in this New York team getting a ring or not. But for the 3 teams that I'm about to mention, remember, these are teams that I think can shock people. These are teams that I think can go on runs. I would like to call them kind of more dark horse contenders. I think that there is a route where they can make a deep playoff run, but I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to win or even make the NBA Finals. However, these are teams that I think can replicate something like what the 2023 Heat did, what the 2020 Heat did, or what the 2025 Pacers did. So the first team that I really like for this is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the Lakers are definitely the best of these 3 teams, but I've seen mixed results on their ability to compete. For the most part, I really like this team. While the Lakers are a bit of a mediocre roster, at least from a talent standpoint, they have Luka Doncic, who I think is going to be so much better next season, and we've definitely seen in the past that Luka Doncic can carry mediocre talents very far. But I am all in on Luka. I am buying every single bit of Luka stock that I possibly can. He looked absolutely fantastic at Eurobasket. He's looked skinnier and in better shape than we've ever seen him in the past, at least since like his early years in the league. He's been impressing the Lakers with his defense that he's played in the Eurobasket, and I think overall his just conditioning and his health is going to be a bit better. While people were disappointed with Luka on the Lakers and just the Lakers' result as an overall last year, I'm not really judging them too harshly. It's pretty rare where we see a mind-boggling major blockbuster move trade like this. It's very rare that we see that happen in the middle of the regular season and the team that makes that trade goes on to win or even make the NBA Finals. You look at trades like Darren Williams, James Harden, Pau Gasol, Carmelo Anthony, a lot of these were huge trades in the middle of the season, but one season or more like one half of a season, it's not enough for a major change to happen like that. Also, in the case of Luka Doncic specifically, we know how much Dallas meant to him, we know how much the city meant to him, and we know that he obviously came from overseas and he wasn't super comfortable with the US or sometimes even the language itself. So Dallas really was his home and Dallas is all that he knew. Now he went to a brand new city and everything was completely different for him. New teammates, new culture, new locker room, everything he had to rebuild from the ground up. This is obviously tough on any player, but I would imagine that it's harder on Luka Doncic or just any foreign player than it would be for an American-born player. Now that he's more comfortable with the system, more comfortable in the city, more comfortable playing alongside a guy like LeBron James, who we know isn't the easiest guy in the world to play along with, now that he's a little more comfortable in that, I could definitely see the Lakers, or at least Luka, having a huge turnaround of a season, putting that last year just putting it away. And despite offseason concerns, on the court, I'm still very confident that LeBron James is going to be fantastic going into year 23. He is definitely going to be one of, if not the best number 2 options in the entire league. I think Austin Reeves is prone to bounce back after not having the greatest playoff showing. Jake LaRavia is also a good new addition, and that could spark some new energy for the Lakers, and just overall some of their surrounding and depth pieces I actually think they fit really well with Luka and Bron. This is coming from someone who is a Phoenix Suns fan and has watched and has definitely hated DeAndre Ayton for so long, but I actually kind of like him in Los Angeles. Ayton so clearly has his flaws, and he's never going to live up to the hype of being a number 1 overall pick, especially not the guy who was drafted right before Luka Doncic and right before Trae Young. However, I really think that this could be the perfect system for him. We saw in Phoenix where a guy like Chris Paul was able to raise the game of Ayton, and I think playing alongside guys like LeBron, playing alongside guys like Luka, I think that could help him out quite a bit. All he has to do is hit those short little hook range shots. He just has to be a solid screener, throw down some lobs, rebound the ball, and just play average defense, something I think he is still capable of. It's just going to be his own motor and own intensity. That's what's really going to decide, but if he doesn't try in this scenario, then what other case would he even care about basketball for? This Lakers team can be really good if things all fall together. I like JJ Redick as a coach, I like this roster, I like some of the new additions, and I think they have the superstar power to do it, and we all know that the league would love to see LeBron James win another ring. Of course, that is if everything falls in line, because if things don't fall in line for the Lakers, it is going to be a mess of a year that will definitely still be worth watching. Another team that I am incredibly high on is the San Antonio Spurs. It might be a little early in this newly forming dynasty, but I'm a big believer in that this team can turn it around and at least make it into the playoffs. Of course, the success of the Spurs heavily relies on Victor Wembanyama. However, I strongly believe that a healthy Wemby is going to be in MVP conversations this year. He's a DPOY candidate that has only grown as a scorer, shooter, and playmaker. As dominant as he was already as a rookie, he continued to ascend in his second year, earning an All-Star appearance, and now he's in line for an All-NBA appearance. Going alongside Wemby is De'Aaron Fox, who we didn't really get to see a whole lot of in San Antonio. We definitely didn't get to see the two of them play together a whole lot, but I think De'Aaron Fox is still a more than capable number 2 talent, and he's a guy who does have some experience. I'm curious to see how well those two as a duo are going to fit together, especially with Fox not being too good of a 3-point shooter outside of like one season, but I do think that there is a lot of potential from these two combined. And yeah, they didn't get to play a lot together last year, but like in the same situation as the Luka Doncic trade, you can't really expect a whole lot when a major trade like this happens in the middle of the season. It's very rare where that ends up turning everything around so quickly. But beyond that, I really like the depth of the Spurs team, and I don't think it's something that's talked about a lot. Unlike Cooper Flagg for Dallas, Dylan Harper, he's not going to be asked to do a whole lot because he's likely going to be coming off of the bench for De'Aaron Fox. So he's not going to have that same pressure on him. He's not going to have to turn everything around. He's not going to have to be a super pivotal player night in and night out. Of course, I think Harper is still going to be a great player, and then going alongside him is the reigning Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle. With Castle, there's also Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Julian Champagnie, Jeremy Sohan. All of these guys are extremely underrated players in my opinion, and a lot of them are starting caliber players for a lot of different teams. They're just guys that don't get talked about a lot. Going alongside those guys are Luke Cornett and Kelly Olynyk, two guys who I think are perfect additions that can either play alongside Victor Wembanyama or can play for him when he is on the bench. San Antonio might just be a little bit deeper than what we give them credit for, and I think that depth is actually going to pay its dividends starting this year. But it might still be a little bit early for the San Antonio franchise, and I don't blame you for saying that. I believe in the magic of this team, and if we definitely don't see San Antonio at a major contending role next year, I'm very confident we will within the next 5. But the last team and my personal favorite pick for the most underground team going into the 2026 season is the Atlanta Hawks. So of course, everything I'm saying with the Hawks is assuming that they're healthy because that is the big narrative surrounding them going into this new season. But in a weakened Eastern Conference and in an Eastern Conference that has seen its fair share of miraculous playoff runs, tell me the Atlanta Hawks are not capable of this. Trae Young can lead a team incredibly far in the right scenario. He's done it before, and now as one of the league's best assist getters, he's having the most talented roster he's ever had in years. I think he and Porzingis can be a lethal duo. Despite all the injuries and everything that's happened to him, Kristaps Porzingis is still a great defender, he's a lethal post player, he can score on his own, and of course he can still shoot the 3-ball. The Unicorn is still a great player. He's a guy that I actually just made a video about, so you should go check it out, but Zachary Risache, I think a lot of people are writing him off because he wasn't exactly hyped as a number 1 overall pick, but he had a really good second half of the season. I think that's going to springboard into this upcoming year. Jalen Johnson, he's a guy that I think has all-star level potential that could be starting up next year or 2 years from now, and I think he's for sure going to be in comeback player of the year conversations. I've always believed that guys like Onyeka Okongwu or Mohamed Gay, I've always thought that guys like these could be playing way more minutes than what they've been getting, but because of Clint Capella, they just didn't play that much, but they're going to have that opportunity this year. Dyson Daniels led the league in steals and was second in defensive player of the year voting at just 21 years old. The team also added shooting in Luke Kennard and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Walker, of course, is also a great perimeter defender. And he was a late pick, but I also really like Asa Newell as well. He's not going to actually have a huge role in this team, I imagine, probably going to be further down the bench, but overall, I think he's a solid guy to get, especially later in the draft where the Hawks picked him up at. Atlanta had one of the best off seasons in the entire NBA, and it seems like nobody is really talking about it. Of course, this all requires a guy who historically has struggled to stay healthy. A lot of this is going to ride on Kristaps Porzingis. With Porzingis, I really think this Hawks team can be top 3, top 4 in the East, and they can do a Pacers-like run. The Atlanta Hawks have defied expectations before. I wouldn't be shocked to see them do it again. While these three were all dark horse candidates, we have been seeing a rapidly changing NBA full of parity and new champions every single year. Keep an eye on teams like the Hawks, like the Spurs, and like the Lakers, because if you aren't watching them, and if your favorite team isn't watching them, then they could be in the midst of a deep playoff run and they might just have a chance to shock the world. But what do you think? Do you agree with these takes? Who is your pick for the most underrated team going into the next season? I want to hear your comments down below, but that is it for this one. If you liked the video, you know what to do, and I'll catch you all next time.